Let's just be honest. The reason that you're not happy with your footage is actually because your lighting sucks. This is the Sutefoto P100 RGB, and there's something about this light that makes it very, very different, very unique, and probably worthwhile picking up. Welcome back to the channel. I know it's been a little while since you've seen a very cool review of mine. However, I'm currently busy with a ton of products that we're reviewing, and we're really putting them through their paces like we normally do. Now, before I get into the full review, I just want to give you a little heads up on who Sutefoto is. So Sutefoto makes lights. They're not new to the light industry at all. However, if you are looking for price-friendly lights, these are the lights that you probably want to go for. One of the biggest issues that I find with lights is as soon as they become affordable, they lose a lot of features. And from what I've noticed with Sutefoto, this isn't the case. Now, if you are looking for a 300 or 500 watt light, Sutefoto currently doesn't manufacture something stronger than the 100 watt that I have here. However, 100 watt is pretty bright. Okay, so what do you get for the current retail price of $229? Now, there are specials quite often on Amazon with Sutefoto, but let me just show you what you do get for that price point. You get a bag, the light, a reflector, and a power cable. Now, the light is made of plastic, as well as, if you want to call it, the yoke over here is made of plastic as well. Now, when I tell you that I put a product through its paces, you probably heard in some of my reviews before that I like to break something before I give you a review on it. And here we go. So one of the things with this mount at the bottom, now this could be some form of metal, but it really feels like a very hard plastic to me as opposed to metal. So when your light stand goes in at the bottom over here and you've got your little thread, there's a little mount on the inside of this thread. And when you screw it in, I've kind of stripped that mount. I don't really over tighten lights in that sense. So maybe it's just something that's weak, or it's a weak spot on the manufacturing side. However, a little bit of epoxy glue will sort it out. You can just screw it on and hopefully it shouldn't come out again. It is something to keep in mind that when you do go for something that's a little bit more price friendly, you will move away from a lot of the high-end metal manufacturing. But when it comes to a light, it's not just about how it feels, it's how it performs. Now, the fan noise is pretty quiet. If you're using this for normal work, you're not going to use it at all. If you're using it really close to a microphone, perhaps you would, but you find that a lot of lights, when they slightly less powered, you get a little bit less fan noise. Okay, so the controls on the back. Now, this light is fully featured. When I tell you it's fully featured at this price point, it is ridiculous. It has a CRI over 96, a TLCI of 95, and you can still adjust your color temperature from 2800 to 10,000. You have full color control over your RGB with full 360 color combinations. And then you have all the standard features like bad bulb, fireworks, lightning. You get the idea. Hold on a second. See what I'm talking about lighting? You see that light over there? Give me a sec. So much better. Okay, so where were we? Controls, yeah. So fully featured. You can even download the mobile app if you're one of those people that don't like to touch controls. Now, I must say I have a ton of lights, and I've used a lot of lights from various different companies. And there's one thing that I've never really been a major fan of, and I think it's just due to the fact that sometimes on set, it's just easier and quicker to move over, grab something, adjust the power, and then you're back, film in, and kind of get in the shot. I've never really been much of an app person. However, the apps that I have used, all of them have been pretty great. And Sutefoto's app is like the rest, it works. I know in the Sutefoto app, you can even have up to 6 different groups. So if you like grouping lights and it's something that you constantly do on set, that feature's there. Now, RGB lights like this aren't something completely new to the market. However, there's not a lot of them, and you're going to start seeing more of them come out over the next couple of months. However, there is something about this light that makes it completely different from everything else. Now, a lot of lights that you will see, you can use the DC plug to power them. So you can power it off your wall or a big battery bank, or sometimes they have these kind of things that you can hang, and you can attach V-mount batteries. There's always a way to kind of power these lights. But with Sutefoto, they've allowed you to put in 2 NPF batteries on either side. And that's pretty unique. However, what is pretty cool is that you've got no wires. There's no attachment to it. And there's a slight downfall, which means you can only get to the light to 80% brightness. It doesn't go all the way to 100%, but that happens with a lot of lights when you're not using DC power to power them. Now, another thing to note is you have to use 2 NPF batteries. If you just put 1 NPF battery on one side, the light will not power on. And there is a little switch at the back that allows you to switch from DC to off to battery. So you would need to switch it to battery mode, and that's what kicks in with the 80% power only. Now, I did use the light in RGB mode at about 20% brightness, and I used it for about an hour and a half, 2 hours, and I still had about 80% battery power left, which is pretty exceptional. But does this all matter if the light is not that bright? And how bright is the light really? Well, I took it outside just to kind of show you this light versus the sun. Very impromptu, kind of raw video clip that I want you to see.
So this is at a shutter of 100, f2.8, ISO 400. You can kind of see the background that we're getting. Not the nicest shot, but that's kind of the look that you'd get. So now what we're going to do is, this hasn't got the reflector on, so this is essentially not at its brightest. This is within a large softbox. So we're going to switch it on at 100% power. And that's the look that you get now. Kind of gives you an idea of how bright it is with the diffuser. With the reflector it would be a lot brighter. But I think that is sufficient for if you want to take it outdoors. And this is at 100% brightness. I'm going to drop it to 80% quickly just to show you what would happen if you ran it on NPF batteries. So if you were on location and you only had NPF batteries, that is the 80% brightness that you'd get. You can see how much we can pull out of the sky. I'll push it back up to 100. So that's at 100% brightness again, and you can see how nice we can get those highlights in the clouds. If we had to expose for her face right now, because it's getting a little bit darker, this is the shot that you'd look for. So that is without the light, and then I'm going to jack the ISO up from ISO 400 to expose for a face. That's kind of the look that you get, and then you'd have to set the temperature correctly just to kind of warm it up. So if you look at that shot and the previous shot, you can see how valuable a light like this is.
And now if you're wondering how bright that equates to in a studio, so this is with a bare cob on it, not through a softbox, about arm length away, and that is 1% brightness. Now my current camera settings are shutter speed of 50, f1.4, and ISO of 250, so that kind of gives you an idea. I'll point it behind me to that wall on this side here, which is painted black, and we turn up the power. You can see all the way through to 100%. How bright 100% is. It is ridiculously bright. You just cannot look at it. So that is 100 watts, 100% brightness. Now it is 100 watts because I've actually tested it. I connected it to a power bank that I use for battery power, and the battery allows me to see the output. Now, yes, when you're using CCT mode, your normal 5600 Kelvin mode, you do get 100 watts coming out of it. However, when you use RGB mode, it's not 100 watts RGB. Depending on the color, it does fluctuate around 28 to 35 watts of power out. However, even at that RGB, it's pretty bright. So I'm gonna switch it over quickly to one of the modes for RGB, and I'm gonna go to blue. Now this is at, let's go to 30% brightness on blue. And as you can see, the blue is so strong that it's starting to whiten my skin out. And I'm just going to drop the blue to show you. If we go to about 10%, you're going to see you get a little bit more blue, and as we push that up all the way, you can see the blue is just ridiculously bright. Now obviously you can mix colors at your own will, mix in a bit of red and blue and make pink, whatever it is, but for another test sake, this is 100% brightness on red. Now the red you do see a little bit more in the office, and if you watch on the curtain at the back over there, that is pretty crazy. And then we've just made the entire office red. It's ridiculous. So is it a bad thing that you're not getting true 100 watts on the RGB side, you know, on the output, I'd rather have it this way than some lights would actually split it and you'd get 50 watts on your Kelvin CCT side, and then you get 50 watts on the RGB side. I think it's pretty cool that you get 100 watts on the output power side, and then about 30 odd, let's just call it about 30 odd watts, depending on how you mix in the colors on your RGB side. Now, Sutefoto does make a P100 without the RGB, and you get 100 watts of just CCT mode, and it is a bit cheap. It's about $50 cheaper. Now, if you're a new creator to the industry and lights is something that you're looking at and you don't have big budgets to just throw a whole bunch of money at it, honestly, you always need more than one light. 95% of the work that you see from us, we're using 2 to 3 lights on every single shot. It just makes it so much better, it makes it so much prettier, and it's just something that looks always more professional. Doesn't matter if you're looking at the movies or whatever video that you're looking at, lighting is always the most crucial thing. And like I said, it's probably why you don't like your videos. It's probably why you think your videos suck. It's always because the lighting isn't correct. So would I recommend this light? Definitely. What I'd recommend you to do is, if you are a new creator and you want to pick up lights and you don't have massive amounts of money to spend, personally, I would pick up the Sutefoto P100 and the P100 RGB. Yes, if you've got an extra $50, just pick up 2 P100 RGBs. However, throughout your career, you're probably always going to have one light that you don't need RGB, so don't waste your money on it. So I'd get one P100 at $179, that's the current price, and a P100 RGB, which is $229 at the current pricing. And you've got 2 great lights that you can mix and match and utilize them in your creativity. And I think it's a great starting point to learn lights, to get going. And whatever your production level is now, you'll double that. It'll look so much better. So that's it from me. I hope you enjoyed this video. We've got a ton more reviews coming out of some great lenses, some cool transmitters, audio devices. There's a lot coming to this channel. So make sure to smash that subscribe button, hit the like button, and I hope to see you guys on the next one, wherever you are in the world. Have a good day, good evening, good night. Goodbye. It is also a standard Bowens mount, so your reflectors a standard Bowens mount, and any other softbox or attachment that you'd like to add is a Bowens mount. And Bowens mounts are nice and universal, and 90% of lights nowadays use Bowens mounts. So if you are ordering a softbox for your light or any form of attachment, snoot, just go for a Bowens mount, and it's just got this little blue clip on the side here to release your Bowens mount.